Welcome to Lax Tracks. All across, all the time. Your source for California lacrosse. Folks, welcome to another edition of Lax Tracks. We are super excited to have you all here tonight for another episode of what we think is going to be absolutely an epic and influential podcast here and talking about California lacrosse. Jimmy, my producer, and I are just a couple of guys in a garage that came up with the idea that there really wasn't a lot of information about California lacrosse. There's certainly national information, but we, as a West Coast force here in lacrosse, really want to get our stories told and our name known out here. So this was really born out of a great love for Jimmy and myself. Both of us have played and coached and those types of things, and really love the game and really are fortunate to be around a hotbed of lacrosse. So we're excited to bring you this show, and the next episode is beginning here now, and we have an amazing guest tonight. I think you're going to love this show. We have a legendary coach, and I'm not going to tell you who that is yet, just to kind of tease you a little bit, but hopefully you'll find this show very informational, educational, and most of all, entertaining. So I hope you all enjoy it. We're going to make the show as authentic as possible and get to know people and get to know the stories about California lacrosse. So just a bit again, I'm Tom Bowman. Producer's Jimmy Bull. I've been a player coach, been around lacrosse a long time. I have kids that play. I have brothers and sisters that play, nieces and nephews, and all over the country. So have a great love for the game. And I've had the great fortune of actually being able to announce this year's World Lacrosse Championships down in San Diego. So that's I don't know if that gives me any cred, Jimmy. Probably no cred or maybe little cred, but it was fun. I'm going to tell you, it was a lot of fun. So doesn't really matter. Just having a good time. So anyways, enough of that. What we've got here tonight, again, folks, I think is an amazing show. We have, again, a legendary coach. So happy to have him. We want to welcome aboard a good friend of the show and a good friend of ours, the head coach at Torrey Pines High School, Jono Zisso. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you for having me, man. Fired up to be here.
No, we're super excited, and Jono, we're gonna do sort of. It's gonna be kind of fun here. So what we're gonna do is get to know you, of course, and know about the team and what's going forward for 24. But again, we want our viewers to know you and the story about you and who you are and what you're made of and where you're from and all that kind of good stuff. So we're gonna ask you a bunch of fun things, and feel free to tell as many stories as you feel like. And we've had a few folks on already. Dallas Hartley was on the other night, and holy cow, he had a lot of stories. So it was good, but we'd love for you to tell us a few as well. So anyways, without further ado, let's get going. Winchester, Mass. That's where you grew up, is that right?
Yep.
And you went to high school there as well, right?
Yep. Public school guy.
Okay.
Many years ago, man.
Trust me, I know that feeling. Got to tell you, my best friend from college lives in Winchester, an old Winchester family. Their name's Sheehan.
Great place.
Their name is Sheehan. I don't know if you ever knew the name, but Sheehan, his name's Bill. He's older than you, and his kids are older, but he's from Winchester and just love that place. Been there many, many times, and what a great place to grow up. But I got to ask you a quick question. Do you, when you were a kid, did you ever go to Chadwick's, the ice cream place over in Lexington?
I didn't. I know of it, but no, I didn't. But yeah, Winchester certainly is a great place to raise a family, and still to this day, it's a wonderful suburb. With my parents still live there, and I like going back there and seeing the progressions of all of it. I was fortunate to grow up there for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mentioned that Chadwick's, this friend of mine's wife's family started Chadwick's, and I don't know what year they sold it, but I remember going in and having the old Belly Buster, which was the famous,
never had the Belly Buster,
famous 12-scoop ice cream. Didn't finish it, but probably got sick over it. But anyways, it's I think a legend there in Lexington. So just wondered if you had been there. Anyway, so then from high school you went and played at Tufts, right?
Yep, I took a quick prep year. I did a PG year at Avon Old Farms down in Connecticut.
That's right.
And then I went to Tufts for 4 years. So yeah,
And
which
you,
was 5 minutes away from where I grew up, as you know.
yeah. And you, a class of 2002?
Yep.
Okay. And you were All-American there as well, right? While you were at Tufts?
I was all New England a couple
Oh, all New
times.
England. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Very cool. So that's kind of where did you cut your teeth in high school doing that as well? You played some other sports in high school too, right?
Yeah, not, my journey to lacrosse was late. I was a big football, basketball guy. Those were kind of the big sports in our town. I didn't start playing lacrosse till freshman year, first day of tryout. So I was a little bit late to the game. Hence having to go to prep school and kind of play catch up. But yeah, I did sort of cut my teeth that prep year, and then at Tufts, I felt like I started getting better finally when I got to college.
There you go. There you go. So from college, your journey then ended up going to coaching. You came out here, is that right? Shortly after
Yep.
college. Tell us about
Yeah, I mean,
that.
Tufts was literally 3 miles from where I grew up. So I thought it was time to get as far away from home as possible and kind of actually, launch. And I drove to the furthest place away I could find, which was San Diego, and was content with just spending the summer out there. Adrenaline had just kind of put some roots down. And I worked a bunch of camps. And then, sure enough, was out in San Diego for 2 months and just stayed, for what is now basically 22 years, I think, at this point.
So where'd you start your career out here coaching?
Coaching, I
Yeah.
was in graduate school at the University of San Diego, and then I started coaching at Uni, which was the old cathedral,
The old
which was
cathedral,
right across
right?
the
Yeah.
street from the campus. So I was going from graduate school classes to practice the first 3 years I was here.
Okay. And then you progressed on to where? Bishops, did I read?
Yep. And then I graduated from USD and I had a master's in teaching credential, and then I got hired full time to teach at Bishops. So then I also started coaching there as well.
And I heard that you had coached a little basketball there too. Is that right?
I did. I coached
Tell us
everything
about
at
that.
Bishop's. Middle school basketball, football, lacrosse, high school basketball. I was jack of all trades at that school, which looking back is kind of funny, but it was certainly a lot. But I enjoyed my time there and sort of cut my teeth coaching different sports. It was a great way to meet everyone in the school community and to attract, coaching middle school football and basketball. I got all of those kids at Bishop's to play lacrosse, which at a school that size and that small, you have to do some, inbred recruiting. And it was great. A lot of the kids started picking up lacrosse, especially the middle school kids, and it really just blew up at the school, which was nice.
Yeah. So a lot of cross training with different sports. And
Big time.
do some of
Yep.
your guys at TP now do that? They play other sports, I assume, or a few?
Yeah, we have a lot of guys that play football, which is great. It's been harder and harder. Every coach is pretty demanding and wants their guys for, 10 months of the
Right,
year.
right.
So the multi-sport athlete, as much as we push it, it's very challenging and sort of out of our hands. But we're fortunate. This year I have 9 guys that played varsity football, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's going to help us out a lot this spring.
Nice. So was it 2009 that I read that you guys won the CIF championship in basketball with Bishops? Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. I coached hoops for 3 years, and my last year we had a great team. It was a lot of fun, and part of my job as coaching was I also had to suit up every day. We only had 13 guys on the team.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
I looked at it as a good way to stay in shape and work out. But
Nice.
yeah, I was kind of doing any random task at that school I did. But it was a great year. It's my first CIF title in any sport, and happened to be basketball randomly. But it was an awesome year looking back.
Point guard?
Yep.
Nice. So let me ask you this question. If you and Dallas Hartley go on one-on-one in basketball, who wins?
Basketball?
Yeah.
I think I've got him beat. Now, skateboarding or surfing, no, I have no chance.
Awesome.
Nice. Good answer. I love it. All right, so then you progress on to Torrey Pines, right, where you are today. And this is what, your 14th season, did I read?
Yep. So I went back to Tufts for a year. I thought I wanted to coach in college.
You did. Okay.
Yep. And got the itch, and I got hired back there and did a year. We actually won the national championship, it was just a great year because I was coaching for my old coach and at my alma mater, and I learned a ton. I look at it as sort of my internship year. I wasn't getting paid a ton, but I learned so much about coaching at that level, all aspects of it, that, even though I came back out here, that year was so pivotal, and it was just awesome. It was the school's first ever national championship in any sport, let alone lacrosse, and truly a special season, and one I'm thankful for. But after a year back there, I was just over the weather, and the Torrey Pines job had opened, and I just came right back.
Just think, if you made a pit stop in Iowa on the way west, you probably would have never had the Torrey Pine Pines story.
If he stops in Iowa, Jimmy?
Yeah, he stopped.
I think
in
he would have
Iowa.
kept going.
Yeah,
That's true.
I'm not sure about Iowa, but yeah. Glad you came out to California. But, okay, so Torrey Pines 2011 and 14th year, right?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Exciting. So
That's
tell
cool.
us a little bit about the journey during your time here.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I took over Torrey at the time. I was sort of running a club with all the Bishop's kids and the Torrey kids. So I was pretty familiar with all of the kids. I had coached most of them in club in the off season, and the job opened up, and it was sort of a no-brainer for both parties. And, the team had been really successful. They just hadn't been able to get over the hump, and there were sort of a lot of kind of behavioral problems and culture issues. And it wasn't a lack of talent, but I had my work cut out for me, sort of changing the culture of the school and the program. And it's been a great ride. It's a work in progress. Every new year is a challenge, but we've had some great teams. I've been fortunate to have some really, really good kids and good families, and we've had some pretty good success. We've had certainly some ups and downs and some heartbreaking losses, but through all those failures, I feel like we've come out the other end stronger. And the last couple of years have been really special.
Yeah, so correct me again if I'm wrong. 7 CIF championships over your period?
That sounds right. Yep.
Yeah, and then you won the last 5, and you're going for a 6-peat this year. Is that right?
Yep. But I think what's lost in translation on that is that we've lost 4 championships. So we have 4 finalist trophies, and we lost all those games by 1 goal.
Oh, geez.
So we've been at the threshold of some serious heartbreak and some tough times. Those are the ones that stick out to me the most, and would kind of keep me going and keep our guys sort of focused. That the difference between success is so finite,
right?
That it's like, wow, 1 goal 4 different times in a row was pretty challenging for us.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But on the other side of the coin, 35 All-Americans, I think, is what you produced, and 65 All-CIF players. What a testament!
We certainly had our fair share of talented kids. There's no question.
Yeah, and athleticism, I think, goes a little way for sure, but coaching, I think, is also a huge part of it. And congratulations on all that sort of stuff.
Hey, Jono, I noticed that on occasion, Torrey Pines has been nationally ranked. Can you recall the certain different years that they were nationally ranked?
Yeah, a lot of those have been. I'd say 2 of those years would be for me. 2004. They beat the then number 3 team in the country, Garden City, which was a monumental moment for Western lacrosse way back then.
Okay.
And then, we've had some big wins over, some notable schools. We beat Lawrenceville a couple times. We beat Deerfield Academy when they were the number 1 team in the country in 2019. We've beaten teams from, I think, 9 or 10 different states. And so, our strength of schedule, we're scheduling teams not where we are, but where we want to be as a program. And we've been pretty aggressive over the years with scheduling anybody and everybody. And, we've been fortunate that a lot of these East Coast teams will come to San Diego on their spring breaks. And, it's allowed us to play some great competition. And we've gone back East a couple of years, gotten our butts kicked, and actually won a few games. So it's great experience. And I don't want to schedule lightly. There's no value in that for my kids. And it sort of dilutes the experience a little bit.
Yeah, there just isn't a lot of teams out here actually traveling all the way back east. A lot go to Texas and other areas, but back east and playing the top teams in that conference is rare.
I think there's a lot of the game has evolved now where we go to Texas every year and we play Colorado teams and there are some really strong top 25, top 40 teams in those states, and you don't really have to go back to the East Coast anymore. We do have St. Paul's from Baltimore coming out this spring. So that'll be a real test. And then, just the age-old games of St. Ignatius will come down, and we're going to play all the Orange County teams. Orange County is sort of on the come up. They're really strong and have been for the last couple of years. And we'll play Loyola from Los Angeles and Texas Trip. And, yeah, there's no shortage of teams out west that will give us a run for our money. So
I actually think LCC's got Avon coming in this year to play.
Yeah, so it's Avon reached out a little bit late where we were kind of full, but they are, I think, coming out for their spring break.
Yeah. I thought I saw that on the LCC schedule. Anyways, all right, Jono, why don't we move on a little bit here? Appreciate all the bio on you, shall we say? But now let's get to know you a little bit better. And so you're involved. What's your current involvement with Adrenaline? What's the story there?
I am one of the owners, and I kind of run the event sector. and I obviously run the West Coast Stars and the RC club programs, which in and of itself is sort of a full-time job too. So
Yeah. The whole, I mean, certainly the success, I think, in a lot of ways of certainly high school and then to college out here will certainly be in the youth area. And there's a lot of guys like you and other folks. We talked to a few coaches up in Orange County and LA recently, and the work you guys are doing is awesome, and really, really appreciate that, because certainly that's the pipeline to the future.
sure. Yeah.
So that's good stuff. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your team this year, the 2024 edition of the Falcons. Again, you're looking at a 6-peat, I think, is what somebody told me. So tell us a little bit about your squad.
I think sort of the prerequisite for any team, and I say it every year, is, you're only as good as your senior class. And I feel strongly about that, just from a leadership standpoint, from a cohesion standpoint. And we're fortunate this year that I feel pretty strongly about our senior class. We've got 14 guys. We've got 9 that have been 4-year varsity players, 7 that are committed to play in college. And, not that matters, but more than that, we just have bought in, caring, thoughtful, like respectful guys that care a lot about the program. So I feel like we're in good hands, and I feel like we're at least, going to be in the hunt because we have such good leadership. I do think San Diego is going to have a ton of parity this year between LCC, Santa Fe, Cathedral, Bishops, and us. I think that can go either way any given day. But for me, prerequisite, need to have good senior leadership, and I feel strongly that we do right now. So that's a plus.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's always a handful of really good teams here in San Diego can win on any day, I guess, and certainly the parity is there for sure. Again, when we were talking to Dallas the other night, he feels pretty strongly about that as well. So,
Yeah.
Jono, are there any particular captains that you've appointed yet, or is that too early to call? Or
Too early to call, but I think, it's not, it's captains are important to me, but really ultimately I'll always lean on the entire senior class, and we treat our last guy like as importantly as our first guy within that senior class. Like most of the decisions we make, we include all of our seniors, just to empower them. If guy 30 through 50 on your team isn't bought in, those are the kind of guys that can really sort of ruin your culture and your program. So we treat all of our guys kind of the same way and try to give responsibility in different ways, shapes, and forms to all of the seniors, regardless of who's actually wearing that C on their chest.
yeah,
very cool.
very cool. So let me ask you this, Jono. Are you a drive or a skills guy? And what I mean by that is if you had an incredible skills guy with little drive, or a guy with a ton of drive and a little bit of skills, I probably know the answer to this, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, well, first of all, for sure drive, because I was always a try-hard guy and late to the party with the skill. But they always say if you're the smartest guy in the room, get out of that room. And I have a really talented staff of coaches that kind of handle the schematics, the skill building, all of that good stuff, where I'm able to kind of oversee and really focus on the cultural piece and the motivational piece and the off the field stuff. And so to answer your question, for sure drive.
Okay.
But I'm lucky to have, a great staff of guys that are super capable and really good at what they do.
Certainly guys with a lot of drive that don't have the skills can acquire the skills for sure, especially with a good
I think
staff.
so. I think we have a handful of guys that come out from the football team that, haven't played since middle school, and you can kind of teach them a little bit. But if they don't have athleticism, toughness, and heart, there's no hope.
Right.
I'd
Yeah.
err on the other side.
Yeah. I hear you. Speaking of all your coaches and different position coaches, what do you think is the hardest position to coach of all of them out on the field?
Gosh, I feel like in the beginning of the season, defense is easy because everybody's rusty and sloppy. And so I think, and then at the end, I think, defense gets a lot harder. We watch a ton of film, but, schematically offense, I always say offense knows what they're trying to do with the ball and defense doesn't. So I always think you have an advantage when you have the ball. And so we'll see though. It depends on the year and kind of who you have. I do think it's a lot based on, who you have where, and some years, some positions are better than others. This year for us, our offense will be really good.
Yeah. We've heard goalie from some of these other coaches as well, just because there's a lot of guys that don't necessarily, maybe not on your team, but on other teams, it's hard to sometimes get guys to want to play goalie.
That's, if you have a good goalie or a good face-off guy, you're automatically in every single game in
Right.
some capacity. So we're fortunate to have a senior goalie and a guy that just, is good at what he does and relentless in his practice of getting better. And we have a goalie coach, thank God, because I don't know anything about the position. So
Yeah, and it's certainly a good face-off guy is key because it's all about possession, right? If you don't have the ball, you don't score. So,
just basic math, right? If you're getting the ball 20 to 25 times more a game than another team, I mean, your odds are pretty good. So it's always difficult to play Cathedral because they have the best guy in the business, and it's makes it challenging for sure.
yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on. You seem, Jono, you seem to be a pretty mellow guy to me. Have you ever been thrown out of a game, either as a player or coach?
So one, you're the first person that's ever told me I'm mellow. So I'll give you.
Well, on this call right now.
Sure.
But,
you know what? I have a pretty electric or sort of animated staff, and my assistant coach might be the most animated guy in all of San Diego lacrosse. So it's allowed me to kind of calm down and step back because we definitely can't have two people that are doing what he's doing. So I think as I've matured and gotten older, I've been able to get more control of my emotions, which is a good sign of maturity. But when I was younger, I was loose and kind of sometimes not for the better. Obviously care a lot and want to win and competitive, but I think I've improved in that area drastically.
Good. Well, let me put a little caveat on that. So I have seen you on the field because I've seen you many times because I do the announcing for the CIF championships, and you and I have met probably several times. You probably don't remember because you were getting ready for the game, but I've seen you out there and appreciate all the work you're doing out there. So,
thank you.
No, absolutely. So, kind of along those lines, what is the craziest thing or the strangest thing that a parent has ever emailed or texted you?
Oh God, I mean, at this point, they pretty much leave me alone, just because I've been doing it for so long. But in the beginning. There were some tough times. I mean, I can handle the emails and the phone calls, but some of the face-to-face interactions when I was younger, from big, high-powered, important parents was a little bit daunting, and it was a learning curve for me. I can remember getting intimidated a couple times and getting pretty dejected when I was first starting out. And at this point, I've learned to have thick skin and try not to take things personally. But yeah, there's a lot of alpha parents out here that are used to getting what they want. And so, I've definitely had my fair share of the brunt, especially early on back in the day.
I'm sure the classic playtime is probably
not even, I don't mind that. What I don't like is when parents sort of chime in with like, you should have done this or that when most of them don't even understand the sport. But yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot, and I think that's behind me. But in the beginning, absolutely, I got a lot of they call it ear banging, but a lot of parents just.
That's when you say, "Talk to my assistant coach. He's got all the answer."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do you guys know Brian Winterfeld? Yeah, here he is.
He's standing right next to me, so feel free.
He'd love to chat with you.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the genius behind all this.
Yeah, exactly.
Total savant.
All right, let me ask you this. Do you have any superstitions before a game as a coach or a player?
Oh, my God. I might be the most superstitious guy ever. Yeah, I have a lot. I mean, I wore the same outfit last year for, 17 straight games at one point. Didn't wash it. I mean.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's anyone that you talk to that, about me will tell you the same thing. It's a lot. Instead of just focusing on the important things, I'm more worried about these dumb little superstitions. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. We had one coach say he always goes to 7-Eleven for a coffee and a $2 donut before every game. So,
Okay.
I don't know. Different strokes, I guess.
Yep. There was a year that we were on a win streak of maybe for 6 weeks straight. We had one, and I ate a poke bowl from Poke One every single day.
Hey, it's a thing.
I remember at the CIF finals, I remember trying to eat it, and my stomach was just rejecting it because it had been 6 weeks straight.
6 weeks straight in the same outfit. So that's
Well, that was a different year.
Okay.
When we get hot, I have to just keep things going in the right direction. And then when we lose, then it all starts over.
Then you can do your laundry.
Yes, exactly. And I can relive my life.
Then you do the rally hat and mismatched socks.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. The kids or parents or anybody have a nickname, or did you have a nickname in college, or anybody have a nickname for you?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, everyone just calls me Z, but a lot of people that not a Tory, but that don't really know me that well just call me ZISSI, and I always joke that it's like this, like Madonna, like I have one name. It's like ZISSI isn't like my name; it's my last name, but people just sort of refer to me universally as ZISSI.
You're like a Brazilian soccer star kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like so, but yeah, that at Torrey, usually people just call me Z or Coach Z. So.
All right, yeah,
Cool nickname.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I had something
It's like a famous rapper's last, call.
Coach Z.
Or Jay-Z too.
Jay-Z.
Well, Jay-Z, Coach Z. It's all kind of the same, yeah.
During the national championship game when I was coaching at Tufts in 2010, we're at M&T Bank Stadium, whatever. There's 20,000 people there, and the announcer is going through the roster. They announced the whole team. Head coach Mike Daly. They get to me, and for some reason, I don't know how this guy. He just says, assistant coach, Jono Zisso. And so everyone started joking that I was like some Italian shooting coach from like overseas. And so Jono kind of stuck for a while with a certain group of people too. That was like, I couldn't shake that after that.
That's funny.
Where do you get Jono Zisso from Jono Zisso?
Sounds like the announcer overthought it.
Yeah.
And of course, it was the one game where we actually had thousands of fans at.
20,000 listening to it, right?
Yeah.
So what is the origin of your first name, or what's your
So
background?
Jonathan's my first name. My younger brother, just when we were growing up, couldn't pronounce it and just kept saying Jono. And my mom just sort of stuck with it, and that became it.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
No cool European cachet.
No, I wish I had a better story.
Come on, darn it, we were waiting for it.
Roll with it, man.
All right, my friend, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Gosh, probably Italian. Growing up in Boston, some of the best Italian food in the country. The North End, right there.
Yeah, right there in the North End. I lived in Providence a long time. So
Providence is a big food town. Huge food city.
Big foodie. Yeah, they had Johnson and Wales College there, which is at food school.
That's right, the culinary school.
Culinary school. So yeah, a lot of great restaurants. What's your favorite Boston North End restaurant?
Ida's is probably my favorite. It's kind of a little hole in the wall that my parents went to when they were sort of dating and young. It's been there forever and ever, and it's not one that you'd probably find on Yelp, but it's authentic and it's really cool. It only has like 12 seats.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like the authentic version of the North End.
Nice. All right, favorite movie?
Ooh, favorite movie? Probably Dumb and Dumber.
Really? Why?
Hysterical. Yeah.
Why not?
I was early in on that. It's still one of the best movies out there. I don't know. I like Miracle. I like a lot of movies. I like all the cheesy, kind of funny movies. Not a scary movie guy. You'll never catch me doing that stuff.
No horror flicks?
No. I'm terrified of all that.
There's enough horror either on the field or in life anyways, right? So,
or just watch the news.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just turn on the news and you can see a horror film. So so let me ask you this. If you could meet a celebrity, sports or non-sports, who would it be?
Probably Tom Brady. Being a diehard Boston sports guy, I feel like I should meet him at this point. So yeah, that would be the one that would make the most sense and that I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, the Boston sports are doing super well right now with the Bruins and the Celtics. I mean, those teams
They're picking up the flack for the Patriots. The Patriots were so bad this fall that I think
historically for sure, but I'm thinking this season in the NBA and NHL, two best teams are the Boston teams right now.
Yep. No, the Bruins, I mean, I love watching hockey. The Bruins are great, and the Celtics have been great. They just have to get over the hump. So it's a very prideful town, as you know, and people were really into their sports and very loyal. So it's a big deal when things aren't going well. This fall was pretty funny to watch from far away. Just the Patriots weren't good, and people were melting.
Oh, yeah.
We're in San Diego. There's not even a team here, let alone people really don't care. It's just such a different world.
Yeah, it is funny. I mean, the Chargers leave and everybody's like, oh, I'm never following them again because they went to L.A. And it's like, come on, wait a minute. They've been here a long time. Been to some Super Bowls, maybe not won some, but they've been to some, and you should at least support your hometown. But
maybe not with Harbaugh. He might bring some sort of flair to it that people might find intriguing and get back engaged.
Coached at USD, right? So so maybe there'll be a little hometown flavor for him. So. Jimmy, any questions for Coach here that you want to
I mean,
I have missed?
Jono, you're definitely one of the mainstay figures in lacrosse and throughout California and everywhere else. Because of West Coast Stars, you pull kids from all over the country for that. So you're definitely a very well recognized figure in lacrosse. And so I don't think a lot of people really know a lot about you in your personal life. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do outside of lacrosse? Are you a cook? Do you surf? Do you skate? You don't skateboard, but tell us.
Yeah.
Let's get to know you a little bit better on your personal level.
Yeah, I think, my hobbies growing up, I played a bunch of sports. I played three varsity sports in high school. I was like Johnny's sports guy as an athlete growing up. And then to my earlier comments about being a Boston sports fans, I'm an avid Boston sports guy. Big skier, just got back from 2 weeks in Colorado and Wyoming. That little gap we have after Sandstorm until the season starts.
Yeah.
Every single year, that's
Where,
kind of my 2 week window to get on the mountain.
where'd you ski in Colorado?
I was in Aspen for a week, the Snowmass, and then I was Jackson Hole.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
6 days. So
I grew up in
great.
I grew up in Colorado.
Jackson Hole's a rough mountain, man.
It was a great time. The snow was great. So I enjoy that. I enjoy traveling. I've been to countless different countries. A pretty avid traveler. And then other than that, I mean, reading is probably my other hobby. But that's really it. Lacrosse, Jimmy, as you know, takes up a ton of time when you put all the travel in the summer and fall, on my calendar. It's a ton, and it just continues to grow, which is wonderful in some regard, but it certainly demands a lot from me physically with the travel piece.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I can only imagine. Yeah, I having done a little coaching and playing myself, I know the feeling. But it's always nice to get back in your home and your bed and be able to chill out there and look forward to the season coming up.
And you're trying to help all these kids through the club, and unfortunately, you have to take them back east to get them seen by the coaches and to help them get recruited. So it's a necessary evil, and I really enjoy doing it. I mean, the more kids I can help, the better. It's sort of my purpose in life. But the travel, lacrosse is like the only sport where the travel is like this extensive and this far.
Yeah,
like everything is in
especially
Maryland,
the California kids.
Yeah, and you throw the time change into things, you throw the travel. You're asking a lot of these kids that East Coast kids don't have to deal with as far as variables.
With lacrosse being in the Olympics, do you think the international game's gonna really, grow a lot, or what do you see overseas? What do you see in other countries? Any insights on that?
I mean, I was at the World Games this summer, and I thought it was outstanding. I think the Olympic format and the sixes format, might break down some barriers to cost and entry for certain, lower socioeconomic countries. But in general, the game really is growing. I mean, it's very cliche, but I think if you watch the World Games and if you have any idea what's going on, like it certainly is growing in a lot of countries, probably much more so than in the United States at the moment, which is a good thing.
Yeah, certainly. When I was down there this summer, I thought it was exceptional. Obviously there were some better teams and worse teams, but the enthusiasm, the passion, the emotion. Doing a game between Mexico and Puerto Rico, my gosh, the enthusiasm was off the charts. It really was. Even though it was a small venue at San Diego State, the enthusiasm was off the charts. So it foretells to me that internationally this game is ready to explode.
Yeah, I had a buddy coaching the Puerto Rican team and a buddy coaching Team Israel, and I went to them playing each other, and that game was outstanding. It was actually really well attended. The energy and effort was off the wall, and it was pretty good lacrosse.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there's, a lot of guys that have played in the States that were on those teams, but nonetheless, I mean, I think the game's in a good spot, and I think it's only going to continue to actually trend upward, which is where it needs to be. Anyone that's played the game understands that.
Yeah. Hey, I just thought of one other question I forgot to ask you earlier. So I know you're super involved in the youth programs with RC and whatnot. Give me your thoughts on coaching youth versus high school. And I know there's differences in size and all that kind of stuff, but how do you approach each of those?
Yeah, I think at the youth level, I coached the Rancho Santa Fe youth program for almost a decade while I was coaching in high school. But it's twofold. One, you have to have a rapport with the kids and make sure that they're having fun and they're engaged. That's a really important thing that I think gets overlooked. And then two, it's got to be a heavy focus on skill development and fundamentals. Like as cliche as that is, like you can't skip steps, otherwise they'll never get the proper tools, to be able to go on to the next level. It's just like the training wheels of riding a bike. And so the best youth coaches understand that, and they have a progression. And even at Rancho and Carmel Valley, like what we teach our first, second group, then our third, fourth group, then our fifth, sixth, and into our middle school, it's a solid progression that they have to sort of make work, whoever's coaching those teams year in and year out. So There's been a ton of stuff on, US Lacrosse and on YouTube that like now, if you're a new coach or if you're a dad who has to coach because there's no one that can help, there's still a lot of resources for guys to be able to teach the youth level. There's so much stuff online that it's in a much better place than it was a decade or so ago. Because we have a lot of dads here. I mean, how many guys are free after school 4 days a week that, people have jobs. So you're at the behest a lot of the time of dads coaching these teams, and you need to be able to empower them and help them, make a roadmap for the kids.
Yeah. No, again, I'm a big advocate of the youth scene around here, and I had the honor of coaching some of the Mustang teams here as well with some guys.
Oh, wow.
Some guys
Back in the day?
Back in the day, yeah.
Really?
In fact, Dallas and I did a second grade team. I don't know what year that was when we coached over at El Camino Creek Elementary School, and we were there with a guy named Darren Lawler, if you know Darren.
Of course, yeah, he was at Pacific Ridge back in the day, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then we were coaching. If you can believe it, a kid like Mike Reese in second grade.
Mike Reese. We could talk about Mike Reese for the rest of this podcast.
Yeah, we probably could. He's my neighbor, by the way.
Big fan of that guy. Yep.
Yeah. Great family, great lacrosse family. Tim and his dad is a really close friend of mine, lives down like 2 doors down from me, and the Reese family is just a solid group of folks. So
yeah, they are. Mike's an absolute character. So yeah,
he truly is. You're right. We could probably talk for a couple hours about him, but anyways, the last thing I wanted to ask you was shot clock. When do you think that's going to happen, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have strong feelings on that. I'm not like a huge rules guy, and I usually let the refs do their thing. But at least at Torrey, we have a lot of kids going to play at the next level. So one, you're not getting them ready when they don't have the same rules. Same with like the 2-minute keep it in the box drill is absurd. At the end of the games, some of the clearing clocks are different. But we, part of why we go to Texas every year is they play the shot clock.
Right, that's right.
And
yep.
And now in LA they just passed a rule. So we're going to play Loyola and Foothill with a shot clock this spring too. So, people need to evolve, and if you aren't evolving and changing, you're probably getting worse. And so I'm a little disappointed that the San Diego, officials and rules haven't evolved and changed. And the reason I got was not everybody can afford a shot clock, or not everybody has someone to operate it. I think that doesn't make a ton of sense. Everyone has a clock to run a game, then they can do a shot clock. So the game is just better. As you know, it's faster. It's, it's more realistic. It's more exciting. All of the things that you already know, but it's sort of disappointing for the California kids.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Well, Jono, we really appreciate being here. Any stories or anything you'd like to tell our listeners out there, or any thoughts on the, season, our show, or anything in general?
One, I'm fired up for this show. Jimmy's been a good friend forever. I coach his son, Tommy, who's a fabulous player and a wonderful kid. So this show is great. I love all these things that are, pushing lacrosse in the right direction, especially San Diego. Two, I just think the growth of lacrosse since I got out here in 2002 has just been really, really rewarding and really nice to see. And I hope it continues. And it's just going to take more people like you guys and more young coaches to come out here and actually give up their life to help do this. And for the season, I wasn't joking. Like I'm not a sandbagger, but it is really a 5-team race in San Diego. And I think, twofold will be leadership and upperclassmen, and then really who stays healthy. Every team is one guy away from being a whole different team. Knock on wood, sadly. As much as the game has grown, I think the depth of it is still not there. So if any of the big teams lose a guy or two, I think that would change the flow of what I just said. But it's going to be exciting, and glad to have Dallas back. And Bishops is really strong this year. My good friend is the coach there, and I think they feel good about themselves. So, we shall see.
Yep.
Now, exciting times ahead. We're looking forward to it. That's why we're trying to grab a lot of you guys before the season here to kind of get your thoughts on the year and get again, to tell stories about you guys as well. It's one thing just listing the rankings or scores overnight, but we want to get to know you guys, and we want the fans out there to know who you are and what you are and how we can all grow this game we love out here, and certainly in San Diego and in California. So there's nothing we like more than having a guy like you on, and we really appreciate all your time and all your energy.
No, I'm happy to help. And a lot of guys were texting me asking me, have I ever heard of this podcast with Jimmy Bull? And now that I've been on, I'm going to tell them they need to go on. Everyone that is
I love
anybody
it.
needs to come on here. Let's get going, fellas.
You are
All
a
right.
good friend, my friend. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And best of luck to you this season. Look forward to seeing some of your games. And I'm sure we'll catch up with you later in the season or during the season and see how things are going and, pick your brain a little bit more to see how all the season's going. So, again, thanks so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me, and really good luck with all this. I'm excited, and I'm going to spread the word for sure. So thank you again.
Really appreciate it. Thanks,
Thanks,
Jono.
Jono.
Appreciate it, and have a great evening. Take care. All right, folks, what an amazing time we just spent with Jono Zisso, head coach at Torrey Pines. Really appreciated him being on tonight. What a true ambassador of the game, a true professional, and just an all-around great guy. And we just really appreciate him being on tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I know Jimmy and I did. And once again, we'd love your feedback, whatever you guys can tell us, what you like or dislike or things that we should or shouldn't be doing. And we look forward to all your comments and feedback. But we are so raring to go for this season and so raring to go with more guests, and hopefully you'll enjoy their stories. So,
and Tom, what do we want them to do? Like and subscribe.
Oh, like and subscribe. What am I thinking, Jimmy? Like and subscribe. And subscribe.
We got to do it. We got to
like and subscribe. Really appreciate all your support out there, everyone. Am I missing anything, Jimmy, or you got anything to say to end this thing?
Great interview. Great as usual.
Well, thank you. All right, folks. Well, until next time, the word of advice from me is make sure you keep it within the pipes. So long.